everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, and we've got a fantastic show this week. We are on location at Bethel High School. We are with Jacqueline Brendable. She's the agricultural science teacher here. And first, Jacqueline, let's start with congratulations. You were recently named the Washington State Education Association Native Educator of the Year. So first off, what's your tribal affiliation, and what does this recognition mean for you both professionally and personally?
Thank you. I am Alaska Native. I'm Tsimshian, and I'm a tribal member of the Ketchikan Indian community. And I had no idea that this was happening. And so when I was sitting in the awards ceremony, I felt very honored. And when they said my name and I saw my name on the awards agenda, I was shocked. The first thing I wanted to do was call my family. They're very, very supportive of my educational journey and my career journey. And I was very proud to let them know and let all my family members in Metlakatla and Ketchikan. That's where basically all my family live. And so I felt very honored in my career and in my personal life for this award.
Well, I love that, and thanks for being here today. And we have two of your students are also joining us. We have Grady and Tyler, and both of you are seniors. And Grady, you have been in the agricultural sciences class for all 4 years. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
And then Tyler, you're in agricultural sciences as well, and also in the FFA organization here at Bethel High School. So we'll have some questions about that in just a few minutes. But we do know that you all have a greenhouse here at Bethel High School that's part of the agricultural sciences program. Jacqueline, we'll start with you. Tell us about how that plays into your classroom, just the hands-on aspect of being out there in the sun and the dirt.
At Bethel High School, our greenhouse is majorly tied with plant science classes, and students are out there almost every day working with different types of plants. We also have a pollinator garden outside of the greenhouse that the plant science B students that take this in trimester 3, they are taking care of it, watering it, planting new seeds because it's relatively new. We just started that garden 2 years ago with the conservation wildlife classes as well. But students get an opportunity to either, grow the seeds that are provided for them. But I have quite a few students that actually bring in their own plants. And so they can really see them, how to grow them, whether it's in soil or water. We also have hydroponics in the classroom and in the greenhouse. And so students just get to really be out there, just working with their group. I always like to say, we don't need our phones. We don't need our iPads out here. Let's just be with the environment and be able to experience different plants.
So, Jacqueline, can you first, before we get into everything, can you tell us what FFA is and tell us a little bit more about the agricultural science program over here at Bethel High?
FFA used to stand for Future Farmers of America, but it is far beyond than just farming. And so the national organization has kind of stepped away from using that. We still go by FFA, but it's way more than just farming. It is a national or student-led organization, and we are the only ones in the district that have this program, but there are districts near us that also have an ag science program and FFA chapter. And so students get an opportunity to learn that's tied to the classroom because it is an intracurricular organization similar to FCCLA or DECA or FBLA, all the acronyms for the organizations. When students join, we have chapter meetings, we have fundraisers, and whether they're interested in the environment, if it's about plants, if it's about animals, if they're interested in competing, there's really a place for every student if they like the environment, because that's what all of our projects are based on. And so the chapter was inactive for quite a few years, and I was very lucky and fortunate enough to have the support to start the chapter again 4 years ago. So we're still in the growing phase, but every year more and more students are joining. And whether it's to show livestock, last year was the first year in many, many years for our district to have Bethel at the Northwest Junior Livestock Show in Puyallup, and or it's competing at state. Districts, our fundraisers, just getting back out to the community is really important for FFA. And then for agricultural sciences, there's lots of subjects that could be taught underneath that umbrella. But here at Bethel, I teach animal science, plant science, and a conservation class. And one is focused on land, and we call it forestry and wildlife, and one is focused on aquatics, and that is called fish and wildlife.
Grady, you are one of the students who's been part of this class actually since it started 4 years ago. How has working in the greenhouse changed the way you think about food, the environment, or even your future?
I think personally growing your plants, they come out healthier, I feel like, because we just grew a bunch of peas they look way different from the ones you buy at the store and everything. Because, I don't know, I just feel like growing your own plants, you feel more like enjoyable. Like it's more enjoyable to eat because you know what it is instead of buying like the stuff at like the store because they put like the chemicals and stuff in there and everything. So I don't know. I just feel like in the future, I probably will grow vegetables. I feel like that's like a good project to have and good thing to do. It saves money and you know what you're eating.
Absolutely. What a cool way to kind of see it from the start all the way to the dinner table. And Tyler, what about you? You are in the class, but you're also a member of the FFA. Same question for you. What's it mean to be out there and see the food grown yourself? And has that changed your outlook at all on where food comes from or the environment or anything like that?
It has really showed me how much more effort is put into growing food than people normally see, and how much care people take into growing plants and growing them healthy and putting food onto the table.
I love that, and I love that connection to your food. A lot of folks, you go to the grocery store, you buy the bag of peas, you have no idea what even country it came from sometimes. So that is really cool to get that connection. Did you grow up working in the dirt at home or somewhere, doing any gardening or farming at home?
Yes, I have grown up on a farm with animals, and we didn't do a whole lot of plant growing. We mainly did animals, so I didn't really know how much effort was put into plants.
So, Jacqueline, before you talked about the components of the agricultural sciences class, and environmental issues are deeply tied to agricultural science. In fact, you all presented at the school board meeting on Earth Day with some of the FFA folks, so that was a really cool opportunity. What are some of the key topics or challenges you and students are working with in regards to the environment?
In every class that I teach, whether it's animal science, conservation, or plant science, we all talk about the controversies, whether it's related to the environment, economic issues, or cultural issues as well, because a lot of our native animals are tied to many of the cultures in the Pacific Northwest. And so students get to research different topics that are related. And Grady and Tyler have taken all 4 of those classes. And so I think it's important for students to learn what's going on around them. And we try to focus on issues that are more pertinent to this area. And so Tyler, he's in a competition called Agricultural Issues, and him and his group chose a topic that they are all somewhat familiar with, and they chose to talk about, the urbanization in southern Pierce County and looking at, from when they were in elementary school to middle school to high school, because they've grown up in this area for many years, what differences are you seeing, and how do you think that's impacting the water quality, the soil quality, air quality, everything about the environment. And so they were researching a lot, and that also happens with students that are not in FFA, but just, have time to take the classes. They do similar research projects. And so they learn more about, whether it's in fish and wildlife conservation, and we're talking about salmons. Students will be working on a project soon where each group focuses on something different, and then they share that with the class, things that they learned. Just so I feel that it's very important that they know what's going on in the environment, because we're surrounded by it, and a lot of people don't. And I think that these classes have a unique opportunity so that students can learn, what's going on more than just when you look out the window and, you think it's really pretty.
In a lot of ways, it's a very hands-on approach to it because they're getting a tangible example of things that are happening in the environment and how that affects things they're working on in the classroom. Tyler, I think that was really interesting that you've got this bigger project you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe something interesting you've learned about the industrialization of South Pierce County?
The urbanization of South Pierce County has, over the past 20 years, I think we have gone about. We've done research and shown that it's changed a lot in this area, and it's cool to see, but also we see the negative effects with how it impacts the environment, the people, the animals, and the native plants of the area. But one thing that I learned that I find interesting, that the median personal income of the area has almost doubled in the last 15 years. So it's interesting to show how much it has grown in the area with buildings, infrastructure, and also even economy has grown in the area.
It's a really interesting topic, and you don't actually have to look too much farther than right here at Bethel High School. The new Bethel High School is being built on what was once farmland, and that's just one example of the way this area is growing from a rural area to a more urban area. Speaking of the new Bethel High School, we always like to say thank you, voters, for voting for that 2019 bond that made the building of that building happening. It's opening in the fall of 2026. Grady and Tyler, you'll both be graduated, but Jacqueline, hopefully you'll still be here doing what you do. How do you think moving to the new building is going to impact your program? Will there be a greenhouse?
Yes, there will be a greenhouse. I hope that this program continues to grow. As I mentioned earlier, I am the only agricultural teacher in the district, and something that I would love to see is that we could have another teaching partner, whether it's at Bethel High School or, the other schools in the district, just so that there's more students and more opportunities for them to take classes that focus on the environment and they learn about, how we can coexist together.
Absolutely. And Jacqueline, another cool thing that's going on right now is your students are soon heading to represent your FFA chapter at the state level at WSU. What does that opportunity mean for the program and for the school at large?
I love that FFA has state on the Washington State University campus. A lot of the time, this is the first time students can actually really explore a college campus, and we are staying in the dorms on the WSU grounds. We're eating on the cafeterias where college students, attend, and this does occur after everyone leaves. So FFA really just is always on the campus. You see the blue corduroy jackets, whether we're looking at the bears for the research projects or we're exploring Todd Hall or the Cub when they're not in competition. So they really get an awesome opportunity to explore somewhere that's in our state, but also like what could potentially their future look like.
That is a really cool opportunity. And Tyler, you're going to be part of that. So what are you looking forward to most about the FFA state convention?
One of the main things I'm looking forward to is competing there, because it's such a good community and people all are there for the same thing with the same goals. So you kind of connect with people and connect with the other FFA chapters in the dorms and just talk with them, see how their experience is going, and just see how much of a community FFA actually is.
Well, that is a really cool opportunity. It's really cool to visit other college campuses and just get to really be part of that in a different way as you're thinking about what you want to do after graduation. I'll give you a minute to think about it, Tyler. Grady, we're going to kick it over to you as a soon-to-be graduate of Bethel High School. What are your post-graduation plans?
I am currently looking at Pierce Community. I'm thinking of doing that for like the 2 years and then transfer to university. But I applied to Pierce for environmental science. I'm thinking I'm going to major in that and have a minor in tech.
That's fantastic. And Jacqueline, you teach environmental and agricultural sciences here. How does that make you feel that you see a student going on to pursue that in college?
It makes me really proud. I'm really proud of all these students, and since this is my 4th year and I've had both of these since their freshman year, I feel very lucky and just very proud. It's the only word I can think of.
So, Tyler, what about you? Post-graduation plans?
Post-graduation, I'm planning to go to Central Washington University for 4 years for environmental science and hopefully go into that field of work.
Oh, that's amazing. So, Jacqueline, any of your students not going into environmental science?
I'm going to have to make a list.
So, and one thing I did want to talk about real quick is because this is a relatively young program, I'm sure there's some students who don't know exactly what it is. What's the kind of sales pitch? And I'm going to ask a student because you've gone through it on that side of it. So, Grady, if someone was curious about why this program is worth stepping into and attending maybe for several years,
I would definitely say it's worth getting into, worth gaining the knowledge of the area around you, learning about the plants, learning about anything, because it's a good skill to learn. Like planting, we plant plants in the greenhouse. It's definitely really good to know. I don't know. It's just also really interesting to learn how plants grow and all the different type of like plants you can grow. It's just a very beautiful thing, I think. I love growing plants. They're really cool. In the end, it's definitely worth it. And there's also so much that goes into growing plants. It's not just like you put the seed in there, you water it. I mean, that is what it is. But there's also like things like, like soils and like soil types. It's all that stuff. It's just really interesting to learn about. And I am really excited to go into Pierce, learn about that stuff, learn deeper into it. And I'm very grateful, Ms. Brendable, because I really wasn't interested in growing plants or anything. But yeah, definitely after Ms. Brendable's class, it's piqued my interest. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but
very cool. Tyler, anything you want to add to that?
The classes are great to learn about how all the environments in the area work together and what you can do to help the environment or what is going on in the environment that most people don't know. And it's just good knowledge to have.
Well, that's fantastic. And Grady and Tyler, two budding scientists here. That is a little bit of gardening humor I'm going to leave in the podcast, Connor. That's fantastic. And Jacqueline Brendable, Agricultural Sciences and FFA Advisor. Thank you all for joining us today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Grady, Tyler, and Jacqueline Brendable. We will see you all next week with a brand new episode.